Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are, whatever you're doing, how you doing, blah, 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 blah. It's Kaiser. Oh, I'm sorry. You were expecting me to be, you know, throwing back, shots of whatever, trying to blur the last 30 minutes of what I just watched out of my head? Well, you see, that would be because you've seen the other episodes, you've seen me doing that. See, that would be narratively satisfying. And, we can't actually be narratively satisfying because that actually doesn't comport with what, you know, a major franchise like Disney does. So, that is, we're just subverting expectations and we're taking the story arc you thought you were getting and we're just going to completely just piss all over it and say go screw yourself. Cuz Disney Star Wars. Jesus. Okay, no, I'm not going to do that to you guys. We're going to go ahead and get an actual review in here. So, yeah, let's just start out with the obvious elephant in the room. The season finale for The Acolyte was tonight, and I just finished watching it literally a couple of minutes ago. Compiled a couple of notes, a few things that I did. I live tweeted my way through the entire thing to try and make sure I could keep an eye on what is going on. And yeah, it absolutely fucking sucks. I'm just going to come out and say it. I mean, it is absolutely just god awful. We introduce an entire subplot about the Senate is now investigating the Jedi, thinking that there's some kind of like undercover thug cops or that they're like some cult now, even though in the original Star Wars, yeah, Obi-Wan Kenobi says for over 1,000 generations, the Jedi's were the guardians of peace and justice throughout the Old Republic before the Dark Times, before the Empire. Sorry, I didn't read that with any feeling, but I figured I would put about as much effort into it as the lines that they made for this show. Golly, this is pathetic. So yeah, the show is over. And now, over the next couple of weeks, we're going to be getting into the numbers, getting into the details, and just see how much this show absolutely. Because the proof is now in the pudding. We're going to be able to see and actually show you just how much it absolutely is. And it's not hard to see. I mean, internet talking heads, pundits like Grace Randolph, who has previously claimed that any criticism of the show was, quote, hate speech. Yeah, literally the 7th episode, the episode before this one, said, oh my God, that was awful. Let's get to the actual tweet there. And yeah, that Grace Randolph coming out there and just saying, yep, that was awful. After she literally said that any kind of yeah, that anybody saying anything negative about this is just I can't even form words right now. This is so ridiculous. Oh my God. Yeah. And I thank God that places like that Park Place, like right here, exist because they could just catalog all of the stupid, dumb crap that she said. Looking at what's been going on, so the actual viewership data is now coming out saying that it confirms that Star Wars fans are abandoning the franchise. Not just the Acolyte, the entire Star Wars franchise. Yeah, where were y'all on that one? We've said for a long time that the fans are abandoning the franchise. And we were basically laughed out of the room that would never happen. Well, guess who's laughing now?
Now comes the part where we throw our heads back and laugh. Ready? Ready!
So let's actually look at the numbers here from Luminate about what has been going on with streaming and specifically what everybody is watching right now. And you'll notice a distinct lack of one of these things on the list. Now, this is for July 5th through 11th. You'll notice that the Acolyte doesn't even show up on the list of streaming originals, which is exactly where it should be. And now, if we actually go over to Nielsen, which is the legitimate barometer for how shows are doing across the entire board, well, we notice that right now for the weeks of June 10th through 16th, that yeah, the Acolyte here is in sixth place, 370 million minutes, but it's really, I mean, that's low, and it's ridiculous to me to even think that, I mean, some of these are getting beat out by some of these. I mean, look at Bridgerton. Bridgerton has like 10 times the viewership of the Acolyte. I mean, yeesh. So yeah, it's pretty clear that people are abandoning this series and have been for a while. And we've been watching these numbers on Nielsen because Nielsen is several weeks behind because they have to calculate and tabulate data. They're several weeks behind even Luminate right now. And yeah, if this is what we have to look forward to right now with Luminate, straight up, even as of last week, and their charts from the previous week, showing straight up that the Acolyte isn't even tracking on anybody's radar. That could be a serious problem. But now let's get to the meat and potatoes of everything that you guys were wanting to see. Let's get to the actual review of the Acolyte, because the Acolyte episode 8, let's get to it, because there's a lot to unpack here. And just saying, no, I'm not going to be gentle. So let's get into my actual review of the episode of the Acolyte. So we're picking up with May and Master Saul. May was knocked out in the last episode and she's restrained to a medical table, which apparently Saul is too dumb to literally see May use the little pip droid she has to pick the lock that is keeping her restrained to the table literally right in front of him. I cannot make that up. Yeah. And it only just continues to get weirder and whatnot from there, because the little furry bastard, Basil, after a brief chase, Osha gets away from the ship in a little escape craft. And then, yeah, apparently May can just grab this ship and just run. Saul gives chase. And for some reason that was never made clear, Basil just goes ahead and disables the ship whenever Saul tries to fire on her ship. Or at least that's what we think he's doing, because they're using the little weapons targeting thing from the original trilogy. At least what it looks kind of like it. Weird. Which just made me ask, can somebody please throw this little furball out a damn airlock and put the entire audience out of his misery? Because he is completely useless and ineffective, and every time that they actually try to include him in the scene for anything, it's an absolutely just ridiculous. It completely breaks character every time that he's on there. It's absolutely ridiculous. So, yeah. Then we get to see May crash land on this plant on Brendock. Now, her ship goes through what I can only assume is the fastest reentry ever, because we literally see the little escape ship start to make reentry, and then suddenly it's streaking through the sky almost at landing, and then apparently making a completely unpowered landing. And instead of, at the angle as she was going down, at the speed she was going down, instead of turning into a mile-wide pile of debris, no, she just kind of floats like a paper airplane and just thunk, makes this very unimpressive little thunk noise on the ground. And it is the worst thing ever. It is just absolutely just ridiculously stupid. That's how it goes. And yeah, I'm just going to go ahead and kind of move around a little bit. So we go back to the Jedi Temple. Jedi Master Nepotism is talking with this senator, which, again, this plot point gets brought up and then goes nowhere except for like the very end. So this entire plot point, this thing with this senator that thinks that the Jedi are just basically a rogue cult of police monks. Yeah, that whole thing starts and ends so quickly, and because it only contained this one episode in the season finale of this series, we have no stakes that there was ever any kind of like issue going on at the Senate were even looking into this. But no, he wants to basically come in and basically be like internal affairs for the Jedi and put them under some kind of an oversight program. The senator literally called the Jedi a bunch of power hungry, basically power hungry cops. That is like he used the words power hungry, if I remember correctly. The Jedi do not crave power. That is a core tenet of their belief system, and it's absolutely stupid that this is going on. So anyway, yeah, they go ahead, they land on the planet. All the various characters all decide to go ahead and meet up on Brendock. So yeah, you've got May, Osha, Sol, Quimmer, and then of course the Jedi Master Nepotism and her cadre of Jedi yes men. Now, there is something that happens before this that I have to point out that just we have to talk about it. So apparently this scene, this guy just makes a roundabout of the corner, leading a lot of people to speculate that this is Darth Plagueis.
Son of a...
Because you know that Leslie Headland couldn't leave well enough alone and decided that they had to do something to tie into the prequel trilogy. And oh yes, they're going to tie into the main trilogy before the end of things, as well as the prequels. They're gonna do one more thing that's gonna absolutely piss you off before the end of this. Because yeah, y'all remember Darth Plagueis getting mentioned in the prequel trilogy from George Lucas. Well, we're not entirely sure that that's Plagueis. I looked at some pictures, and it kind of, to me, it may be Darth Tenebrous, but that's just my thought process. Because even Star Wars Theory mentions nice, creepy Plagueis, who is maximum 15 years old, has been keeping tabs on them all, has learned that these witches can create life from the Force, and that's how he figured this is possible from the Acolyte witches. Yeah, so yeah, Darth Plagueis, just based on what we know of him in the actual lore of Star Wars, at this time when this series takes place, would have been 15 years old. But at that point, he was already supposed to be a Sith master, had been doing this for years, and had already done tons of research and trying to figure out all these techniques about staying alive. Again, I'm saying it's probably more likely Darth Tenebrous, but again, I also, given what we've seen with Ki-Adi-Mundi and some warnings that I heard that Ki-Adi-Mundi was going to be a blip on the radar compared to what was going to happen tonight, I'm not surprised, because then that would mean that it is Plagueis, and yikes. So yeah, even Nerdrotic getting in there sharing a picture of Darth Plagueis the Wise. Yeah. So that's something we have to look forward to if they ever decide to get a season 2 of this piece of shit. Well, then we go ahead and move on from there. Everybody's going to the planet Brendock. We've got all the characters there in line. And then we decide to go ahead and get, I'm not even shitting you, Crouching Tiger Hidden Dragon in Jedi form. I'm not joking. This is straight up Crouching Tiger Hidden Dragon, like the Kung Fu on wires stuff. And yeah, we also get a Mei versus Osha, like Kung Fu fight in the middle of this thing too, which is just what the absolute hell is going on in the show. Ultimately, what we get is that, yeah, they go ahead and ultimately they frame Soul for the deaths of the lesbian space witches, which technically, if you actually went back and watched it, was at best, or sorry, at worst, self-defense. Yeah, at worst, it was self-defense. Yeah. And then, of course, they made mention that Osha's, like, no, sorry, Mei or Osha, one of the two, is about the only one that could kill without actually using a lightsaber or something. So yeah, Osha here gets to be the first person in recorded Star Wars lore to actually force choke somebody. So yeah, again, Virgins of the Force, creating life from nothing, and doing all this stuff with, yeah, being able to force choke people. So they've basically turned little Mei and Osha into Darth Vader before Darth Vader was Darth Vader, like 100 years before Darth Vader. Absolutely fucking brilliant, guys. Yeah. So, yeah, just to kind of get things finalized. When you really get down to the nitty gritty of it at the very end, so Soul gets choked out and dies by Osha, his former student. We get to watch his lightsaber, which she has taken into her hand, and his blue lightsaber crystal turn to red, signifying her fall to the dark side. And yeah, we get to everything it's already done. We get a very half-assed reveal that Quimmer used to be the student for Jedi Master nepotism, which we all knew based on his scars like a while back. We're like, yep, he's totally her student. Didn't ruin it for us. We can figure it out. They're like, it's supposed to be a big reveal, and it's not. We figured it out like within a second. Yeah, so we also have the entire Jedi Order blames now through Venestra, blames Soul for killing the lesbian space witches and his comrades that went to Brendock in search of the Virgins, just to save his own hide, completely despite the fact that every bit of evidence clearly shows that Soul was doing the exact opposite of that, and that killing Mother Anastasia was, again, at the absolute worst, it was self-defense. And so, yeah, Soul gets shafted, and yeah, with you really kind of getting down to it, they have turned this whole thing into just an absolute misandrist garbage. The women of the plot frame the one good man of all of this to be a selfish asshole and a murderer, just so they can keep up appearances and tarnish his reputation in death. Bra fucking vo, Leslie Headland. Congratulations on your misinterest garbage. Yeah. And then we get to the part at the very end where they're like, well, what are we going to do? Because Osha now wants to go train with Quimmer in the ways of the dark side. Osha has had a change of heart. Osha wants to go with Quimmer. These friggin' twins. I hate these twin storylines. Yeah. Osha wants to go train in the ways of the dark side with Quimmer. Mei wants to stay behind and be a good person now. but they're pretty much know that the Jedi are going to pump her for information. So with just a wave of his hand, Quimber it just completely erases her memory of a lot of the events. Now, I mean, yeah, no struggle, no harsh abilities, no showing that there's going to be difficulties to do this. It's just okay, memory be gone, boop, and done. Total mental etch a sketch, and yeah, wipes her memory and then turns her over to the Jedi. The final shot of the Acolyte will piss you off because they decide to go ahead and throw Yoda in here just for grins. Yeah, just for total shits and giggles, y'all. They throw Yoda in at the very last second. Now, thank God he doesn't have any speaking parts. But that's enough right there that they actually are ruining his character by tying him to all of this. So, yeah, they needed some nostalgia bait. They wanted some goodwill from the former fan base. So, like, oh, hey, look, it's Yoda. We bring in Yoda. You guys clap. You clap, you bunch of idiot seals. Clap for us. Nobody's clapping. It's ridiculous. It's stupid. Yes, we know that at that time Yoda was part of the Jedi Order. And you've very clearly not shown him anywhere in all of this. I say cleverly with the dripping contempt that it deserves, by the way. But yeah, they decide, oh, well, we need some nostalgia bait. Throw Yoda in there at the very last second and tie everything thematically together. Not only with Plagueis to the prequels, but now we've tied with both the prequels and the original trilogy by shoving Yoda in there. Yay. Again, brah fucking vo to you, Disney. You did something. It's a giant pile of shit, but there you go. I'm tired, y'all. I was up all last night making sure to keep an eye out for the storms. Yeah, for my family, doing all that. I didn't sleep. I'm tired. Yes, I'm pretty sure that the quality of this particular video is going to be pretty shit. But you know, again, I at the same time also refuse to put more effort into it than Leslie Headland put into her work. So that's all I got for today. Go down there, hit the like button. If you're new here, hit the subscribe button. I love you guys. I really do. But damn, I'm going to have to start reviewing some series I actually like now to get the bad taste out of my mouth from between this and Ahsoka. But I will see you in the next video. Peace.